So I'm going to speak about something that this is just for educational purposes. Um, the information that I'll provide is just from research that everyone can do and from scripture. I'm going to speak about the entity called Baal, or the little G god that people worship. Not me. I worship Jesus Christ. Baal was commonly representing a Canaanite god called Hadad. In the Old Testament, frequently it depicts him as a false god, like evolving into more present time, a demon, and some thought maybe a fallen angel. There is a book, Lesser Key of Solomon, and Baal is listed as the first of 72 demons described as Duke or King of Hell. The Israelites frequently abandoned the Lord to serve Baal during the time of the judges and during the reign of kings like Ahab and Jezebel. In Judges 2:13, it says, "And they forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtaroth." In Kings 2:10-28, thus Jehu destroyed Baal out of Israel. Frequently, like as more of a present time knowing of this entity, even me, for instance, I knew that he was worshipped of being the god of like fertility, but also rain and storms. And there's a very interesting story about the prophet of Jesus, Elijah. It says that he challenged 450 prophets of Baal to a contest on Mount Carmel to prove whether Baal or the Lord was God. I never realized until I really deep dove into the Bible, obviously, but actually more into the entity itself to understand where it was coming from. And then I was able to find it within scripture and figure out that it is a very interesting situation, because a lot of the scripture talks about followers of Jesus Christ left and started to follow this entity, or which is, and Baal is represented as a demon, fallen angel, basically the deceiver of God, just like Satan, Lucifer. But I want to say there's probably, I don't know, it was like, I know there's at least 200, maybe obviously more. There's definitely more, but at least 200, as I know, scriptures that are written about this entity. So this entity is very, very present in scripture, especially in Kings. So Kings 1, chapter 18, verse 40. And Elijah said unto them, take the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape. And Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon and slew them there. Jeremiah 11:17, for the of host that planted there hath pronounced evil against thee, for the evil of the house of Israel and of the house of Judah, which they have done against themselves to provoke me to anger in offering incense unto Baal. Now, another thing that I I realized when I was reading this, and there's way more scripture verses that speak of this, but you know how it says like they took something to the altar to, or like the incense to the altar to burn. I think that the incense means the innocent. And when I thought of that as I read this, it really got to me because I always wondered what the incense was, because usually it talks of burning meat, like animals, but then it would speak of incense, and I think that is speaking of innocence. Anyway, I just thought I would share some information about this demon, so that the world should know that this entity has left, has caused many to leave Jesus, God, to worship him. And it's written. Much love. God